Hi, welcome to the Jenspiration Conversation. My name is Jennifer. If this is the first time one of my videos has landed in your feed, I very much welcome you to this space. Thank you for being here. The universe has put this video in your feed for a reason. They're saying, hey, there's something in here for you that you need to see today. Returning viewers and subscribers, you also have my deepest appreciation for coming back to sit with me here at the channel and have another Jenspiration conversation. I created this channel to talk all things spiritual, but we keep it street here. We keep it grounded in reality. So if that sounds like you, then you are very much welcome here. Thank you for being here. Today's video I wanted to make is around imposter syndrome. And I know that there's probably a good portion of us who have experienced imposter syndrome at one point in our journey or another. And when I was sitting with Spirit and getting ready to film, also I was really hoping today would be nicer, but you know what? In every life, a little rain must fall. It's very rainy and windy outside. It's late May here, so I got lots of lights on. I hope this video is not too dark. Anyway, I digress. Imposter syndrome. I wanted to look up a very simple, clear explanation of what imposter syndrome was, and then I highlighted some ways down here that you can work through it. So, imposter syndrome, by its simplest definition that I could find, is the psychological experience of secretly feeling like a fraud. And that comes from a blocked solar plexus. So your solar plexus is one of your 7 main chakras. It's the 3rd chakra. It sits basically kind of where your stomach is, right behind your navel. And it resonates with the color yellow. And it is where you get your self-worth, your leadership, your drive, your confidence, your personal power to like go and do something comes from your solar plexus. So if that's blocked or closed or quietly shut down, you will feel like an imposter. Because if you're at a job or if you're starting something and your solar plexus is blocked, you're going to shrink and feel like, why am I here? What am I doing in this boardroom? I don't deserve a seat at this table. No one wants to hear what I have to say. I'm not going to start that business because there's 300 businesses like it in my community. I'm not going to sit down and write that book because there's a million books written. So a blocked solar plexus will completely shut down that confidence. And some of us have been like shoved into opportunities, or if you are in the corporate world like I used to be, and you know you're grinding it out every day and you know you're kind of working your way through it, and sometimes you will find yourselves in a room or a meeting and you're like, what am I doing here? Like, do I deserve a seat at this table? Like, why am I here? These people are all so much better than me. Like, what am I doing? That is imposter syndrome, because intuitively you already know you should be there. If you've been promoted, people around you know you should be there. But a blocked or closed solar plexus will have you doubting yourself. So it is the psychological experience of feeling like a fraud. Like, I can't start that YouTube channel. I can't open my own business. I can't write a book. Like, I'm a fraud. Like, there's no way I'm as good as these other people, right? You feel like a false person. You feel like everyone else around you is so much better. So you're like, I'm just not going to do it, right? That's what imposter syndrome is. And then I sat with Spirit for a second and I said, Spirit, like, what do you attribute, or what are your thoughts on imposter syndrome? And what came through, for those of you who are new, my channeling with Spirit comes through writing. So sometimes I can ask Spirit and I just start channeling and I start writing, or they'll send me a message randomly and I have to start writing it down. So I said to Spirit, I said, what do you think imposter syndrome is? And Spirit came through to say, people, humans, doubt their abilities and they attribute their success to luck or good timing rather than their own hard work or intelligence. So we are very quick to dismiss our abilities and our intelligence and chalk it up to, oh, that's just dumb luck, or I was just at the right place at the right time. Maybe that played a small part in it, but that's not true. You are completely capable and you are completely able and you are worthy of being in that space, right? Spirit also came through to say, people will feel like eventually they're going to be exposed as incompetent, but then Spirit said, but you're not. So imposter syndrome is this weird feeling that you get walking around your job or your world feeling like, okay, the other shoe's going to drop, like someone is going to expose me as a fraud. Like, what am I doing here? Right? What did I just say that out loud? Like someone is about to expose me as incompetent. But that's just a blocked solar plexus. That's just your ego taking over and re-narrating those stories to you that you've been, conditioned to hear about yourself. Like you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're not skilled enough. I can't do that because other people are so much better than that. Other people are better at that than me. So your ego completely takes over. Your ego loves imposter syndrome because your ego is like, yeah, girl, you're shit. You ain't doing that. But when you have a balanced solar plexus, when you lean into your personal power, your strength, your gut instincts, this intuitive pull and this trust in yourself, when you tune everyone else out and you sit with yourself and you go, you know what? I'm being intuitively pulled to this promotion or this job or this city or this project or this new YouTube channel or whatever. There's a reason I'm being called to it. There's a reason I'm being pulled to it. And it's because intuitively I know that I am meant to be in that space. But then imposter syndrome and your ego will try to weasel their way in and say, no, you can't. So it's this back and forth battle that you'll have with yourself constantly until you balance your solar plexus. Now, ways to balance your solar plexus is it resonates with the color yellow. So you can wear yellow, you can eat yellow foods, you can carry yellow crystals, you can put on a solar plexus sound frequency. Fire meditation is really good for the solar plexus. So you can look all of those up there. You can do some chanting. There's some deep breathing. You can do anything that will help balance your solar plexus, will help you negate that imposter syndrome feeling. I also wanted to share kind of ways that I have worked through imposter syndrome because, friends, yes, I had it starting this channel. I got the idea for this channel like a year and a half ago. And so it took me a very long time to to crack open imposter syndrome and say, Jennifer, you can start that channel. You know what you're talking about. You have been through it and you've done enough studying and learning and courses, and you're allowed to be there. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to say what you need to say because those meant for you will find you. And that's why there are so many different unique voices in unique spaces. No one can do what you do the way you do it. Nobody. So yes, there's millions upon millions of books written. That doesn't mean that the world doesn't need your book because of your unique voice or perspective or a clothing line or your art or your music or your coffee shop. Maybe you have an idea for a vibey coffee shop that you're like, you know what, there's not very many of these around. I want to open one. Well, no, I'm not going to do that because, who's going to come here and drink coffee? They're going to come there and drink your coffee because you do it differently than anybody else, right? That's why there's so many different fashion brands and different, interior designers and home builders and different YouTube channels on all kinds of different topics, because you are uniquely you. So you have every right to take up space just like everyone around you. Okay, we are all allowed to take up space. We are all allowed to speak our truth. We are all allowed to do what we feel intuitively called to do. So some of the ways that I just highlighted here in orange, some of the ways that I moved through my imposter syndrome when I was both working in the corporate world, but also starting my podcast, starting my own business. I also own a home staging business where I professionally stage houses for realtors and clients. I also do a little bit of interior design. I was a corporate recruiter for over 2 decades, and then I moved into the creative space. You want to talk about imposter syndrome? I was like, what am I doing here? What am I doing in this space, right? So here's some of the things that I did that might help you kind of move through if you're experiencing imposter syndrome right now. This is the biggest one. If you hear nothing from this video except this next sentence, hear this. Shift your mindset from external validation to internal alignment and trusting yourself. Boom, mic drop, the end. As soon as you remove the external validation and you just stay here, stay grounded in who you are and the skills and abilities that you know you possess, imposter syndrome disappears. Because you're not going, okay, this plant is driving me crazy. Why do I keep hitting it? Sorry. What was I saying? As soon as you remove the external validation, as soon as you remove the living and dying by the like count or the comments, or if it's a YouTube channel, the subscribers, or if it's on Instagram, the followers, whatever, remove that and just stay in the place of, I intuitively trust myself and I know that this is aligned for me. I feel confident this is what I'm supposed to be doing, regardless of the outcome. Let the outcome be a wonderful byproduct of you just knowing what your soul is calling you to do, how you know you're aligned to be doing the thing, saying the thing, going to the thing, whatever. Let the external validation just be a wonderful byproduct, but don't live and die by it. So once you shift your mindset from the external validation, just stay here with the internal alignment. That's the biggest one. Like I said, if there's nothing else that you take away from this message, that should be the key right there. The other thing I wrote here is I started to see my work as pure expression of myself. So it happened when I started my own business, interior design and home staging. I started to see that as I was working with clients and staging these houses and helping people, redesign or decorate, it started to become a pure expression of me. That's why, I'll take myself for an example, in the interior design space, there's so many different interior designers, right? There's some that lean into certain styles, some that lean into certain aesthetics, and that's why different clients are drawn to different designers. If every designer did it the exact same way, then there would be no unique voices in that space. So while that space has a lot of people in it, I had started to see my work as my pure self-expression. And what's so interesting about that is just this morning, actually, I had a friend of mine message me and she showed me a listing for a house and she said, "Did you stage this?" And I wrote back and I said, "Yes." And she's like, "I knew it. It's got you written all over it." And you know what? That is a beautiful byproduct, right? She messaged me to say, I knew that was your work because I could see it. She saw my pure self-expression. So that's a wonderful byproduct. I didn't stage that house so that I would get people saying, hey, did you do this? That is a wonderful byproduct, right? Because it is me purely expressing myself. And I want that for you too. Regardless of the space that you're in, regardless of the niche that you're in, you do you. And the right people will be drawn to you, to follow you, to buy your product, or to come to your shop. Okay? Because no one can do what you do the way you do it. Okay? Okay. The other thing I wrote here is there were times where I had to acknowledge my imposter syndrome. I had to sit with imposter syndrome for a minute because it would creep in once in a while, especially if I was doing a really big project. I did a project a year ago for a cannabis shop, and I was a little bit nervous because I wanted it to go well. They were an Indigenous client, and I really wanted to lean into their culture and what was important to them and what they wanted to have. Stupid plant. What they wanted to have in their space. So I did a lot of research, and a lot of beautiful creative ideas came to me, and it was this wonderful collaboration. But my imposter syndrome came in. I was like, I've never worked with an Indigenous client before. Like, what am I doing? I'm gonna F this up. No, I sat with that imposter syndrome for a minute, and I went, okay, I hear you, imposter syndrome. I acknowledge that you're stepping forward to create doubt, but I'm just going to stay in that space, and I'm going to be like, no, that client chose me because they saw something in me and they wanted to collaborate with me. Let's lean into that. So if you want to just take a minute, take a beat, and sit with your imposter syndrome for a minute, just sit with it. Just be like, what is this? Oh, it's imposter syndrome. It's coming through to create doubt. Do I doubt my abilities? No, I don't. And then move through it. So that's a really good one. That's a way to just kind of be mindful and sit with that for a second instead of letting imposter syndrome just completely take over your thought process. The last two are, I wrote here, reconnect with the why that you're doing it. While imposter syndrome is making itself known to you, sit with yourself and reconnect to why am I doing this? Why did I feel pulled here? Why do I feel called to this? What was the initial why? What is my big why? Why am I doing this? Why am I changing gears? Why am I shifting directions? Reconnect to your why, the why that is uniquely you. And then the last one that I double underlined is just pure trust in yourself. Absolute 100% trust in yourself. And trust me, your imposter syndrome will rear its head now and again, but just come back to a place of, I trust myself enough to know that if I put myself out here and this is a success, fantastic. If I put myself out here and this is a failure, I still put myself out here and I learned something, and maybe I need to pivot or shift or rebrand or, take a little detour, right? Well, how does that saying go? Every no is just a divine redirection. So if you put yourself out there and it's not quite working and you're like, yep, knew it. Imposter syndrome is going to be like, yep, told you weren't going to work out. No, maybe that particular tactic didn't work. Because if the fire in your belly, your solar plexus, if that fire is telling you to do it, trust that. Tune everything else out and just trust yourself. I say this all the time on my channel. Tune out to tune in. Here, you are the only one that knows, and you're the only one that has the answers. So yes, imposter syndrome, will it probably come back up for me here and there? Absolutely, especially if I veer and try to do something else, or if I, add little pieces to what I'm doing. But right now, sitting here 2.5 months into my channel, I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is. It's growing at the pace that it's growing. The people that are watching are the ones that are meant to watch. And I'm just going to continue to show up because I know I'm meant to be in this space because I trust myself. So that's the video today, my friends. Imposter syndrome. She doesn't have to rule your world. You can just acknowledge her. Just tell her to take a beat, exit stage left, because you're going to keep moving yourself forward because you trust yourself enough to do that. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope this finds you all fired up and geared up and really leaning into your personal power and your confidence to go do the thing, because there is some really strong energy right now around creativity and a lot of people starting new things. It is mid-May 2026 when I'm filming this, so this is timeless. Whenever you find this, it's when it's meant for you. But right now, we are exactly in the middle of 2026. There is some major creative energy happening right now where a lot of people are ready to shut imposter syndrome down and just say, F it, I'm doing it. So if that's you, go. And I want to celebrate you in the comments. So tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you're about to start. And tell me how tell the collective, how you're working through imposter syndrome. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to see you on another video. Take care. Bye-bye.